Heyo everybody, Haku here with my live reaction or read through for Kubera, Season 2, Episodes 85, 86, 87, and 88. I'm excited to see what happens this time around. We're finishing off the good. It has been good so far, and we just kind of, at least for right now, it seems like the tensions have kind of cooled off a little bit, so it almost felt like last chapter was kind of the end of an arc, but we still have another half of it. So I'm wondering what we're going to transition into. We're probably going to get into the really good, really comfortable Kubera wheelhouse of just good character writing. We're going to be back to hanging out maybe in Calabloom. I think at one point I called it Rintalo on accident last read through and I didn't notice until editing. For some reason, it's obviously Calabloom. We've been here for forever. Cali Bloom, Temple of Chaos, Cali. It's really, really, really simple. But I keep in my head wanting to call it Rintalo. I don't know why I keep wanting to call it Rintalo though, all the time. And I have to keep stopping myself. But yeah, I guess let's just go ahead and read. I'm already running a little bit behind, and I actually don't know if I'm going to have time to record all 4 of these chapters in one go, so I might just record a little bit, and then you'll see the rest that I will record later. It'll all be in this video, but it might be recorded at different times whenever I have time to sit down and record throughout the night. So, yeah. I'm already running behind, and I don't know if I'll be interrupted, so let's go ahead and start reading. Well, I guess it makes sense that you would have known, Asha. That's why you weren't worried at all when Yuta disappeared all by himself. Well, you could have told me too. Yeah, Asha, you should have told Lise before. I thought since you warned me not to tell her, I thought maybe Lise had some Shura phobia or something, but she doesn't. She's fine. Okay, see, I like that they're actually talking this through. I think there's been a little misunderstanding, Asha. Can't you tell just from looking at her that she's not the kind of girl to hate Yuta just for being a Shura? You haven't talked to Lise enough to know her personality. I feel like even I know Lise better than you do. Come on, well, how do you know me, Ron? Well, you mean like your shoe size? Asha doesn't know it either, does she? Even Yuta knows that. What does he know that for? It's not like he's gonna buy you a pair of shoes. And Asha's still silent. From the very beginning, you became the nice one, and I became the heartless monster who never cared for your feelings, getting everyone else to take your side. And creating this situation without any evil intent might be called a kind of natural talent. Lise, you lost your village to a high-rank Shura. That's why I didn't tell you. Uh-huh. What the? I told her to keep it a secret and she just blurts it out here. Yeah, it's his first time hearing of it. But it was that red bird that did it. How could I hate Yuta just for being a high-rank Shura? Would you have been able to smile like that if you had known Yuta's true identity from the start? Don't you remember the thing I asked you on the first day that we met Yuta? Now, why is our relationship so bad with him? It'd be nice if we could just treat them as equals and get along with each other. You wish for no discrimination with those with the blood of Shuras. Okay, using with twice was kind of messing with my brain. Then what about a pure blood Shura? Huh? Asha, what did you just say? Do you think you can get along with a high-rank Shura in human form? For instance, a Rakshasa. And she looks horrified. It was a joke. Get yourself together. The art looks extra crispy. So I'm wondering if this was like redrawn. Like the panels themselves, if they were redrawn for this chapter. Because they're looking pretty high detail. It was a joke. Get yourself together. A joke. I didn't know you would joke around too. But from now on, try not to make jokes like that. I think I might puke. After seeing your reaction at the time, I simply decided that it would be better to keep Yuta's identity a secret. You're right. I was once like that, but Asha, at the time unlike then, you're now friends with Yuta, so you don't care that he's a high-ranking Shura. Then, what if you had known at the time Yuta was a Shura? You wouldn't have even had a chance to get close to him. No, that's not true, Asha. What do you mean it's not true? Stop insisting like a child and just admit it. And again, Asha is very bad at social situations, messing this up. This was going so well, and Asha's fumbling. It was because you didn't know Yuta's true identity that you were able to get close to him. Don't act like you could have accepted Yuta from the start. Hey Asha, I think you're being a bit... Asha's right. If I had known from the start that Yuta was Ashura, I probably would have hated him. It's true. And again, I wonder if she really believes this, or if she's just saying it, or if she didn't believe it, but now she's being convinced into it. Now, enough of that. Hurry up and decide what you want to eat. They have that mushroom stew that you like here. Yeah, hey, I'm not really hungry, so I think I'll head in. I'd like to get to bed early today. What? You're not hungry, Lise. I think I ate something wrong this afternoon. I'll be fine if I just skip a meal. And Ron is looking really concerned. That's a really good panel. The facial expression's really well done. Hey, Asha, what's wrong with you? You could have said it nicer. She's only 17. Does that make her a child? She should have already graduated university by now. By your standards, maybe, but Lisa's still a child. Still a child. That's right, still a child. It's Asha and Ron. Are they fighting? And people are looking on. And that thing about her losing her village to a hiring Shura. How could you be so blunt with a child who deserves compassion? What the hell is wrong with you? What's so special about losing the village where you lived? There's nothing special about it. And we're having another glimpse of flashback. It's ridiculous seeing an immature little child like her dream of avenging her village when all she knows how to do is pretend to be nice. Hey, pretend to be nice. Then what else should I call it? Pretending to like a high-rank Shura now when she hated them so much before. To Lee's hearing high-rank Shura might have reminded her of the one who destroyed her village. You'll do anything to protect her, won't you? Do you think that Shura was the only high-rank Shura in the world? Wasn't he the only one at the time? It's true, isn't it? After the Great Upheaval, all the high-rank Shuras were trapped in the Shura world, and there were only inferior ones in the human world. It was only recently that the Ananta clan high-rank Shuras appeared out of nowhere and attacked the city. It would have made sense for there to be no high-rank Shuras around at the time before you guys came to Misty Shore. In most people's minds, including Lee's, high-rank Shuras were inconceivable. The most you might have heard about them was that the Garuda clan was responsible for the Red Sky incident. And even then, only people with connections in the magic community could know that. Almost no civilians knew. What? They're calling for support, Natera. So there really are high-rank Shuras. This doesn't concern you, so just go to the waterway with Asha. So even showing that even Rana was keeping it from Ron. Which means you, Asha, may have known about high-rank Shuras at the time, but to Lee's the word a high-rank Shura would have only referred to one in the world. I wish I could just forget it, and Lisa's rubbing her head. She said she kept the truth from me for my own sake, but I shouldn't feel bad that they misunderstood me. It's still 1,000 times better than keeping it a secret because they didn't trust me, right? Of course, of course. I don't see any of your companions today. Is this going to be Claude? I don't know. The way that right at this time of need and using wording like this, I don't know. Maybe it's somebody else. But that was my first thought. Like, it could be God Kubera. I doubt we're seeing him again anytime soon. Or it could be Par, because Par talked to Lee's at least a little bit. But I guess even Lutz is possible. But I'm thinking Claude. Because Claude is still really mysterious with what he's doing here. I think this chapter's been incredible so far. The character work is just so great. And I do like her bringing it up here too, because it's like, okay, she was worried that they were just keeping this stuff from her about Yuta because they didn't trust her. But now she's like, okay, it's not that they didn't trust me. It's just that they thought it was best for me because they thought it would upset me. But then she's like, gosh, now I don't know how to feel about the fact that they thought his species or race or whatever would upset me. It doesn't, nope, I was naming like a half dozen names and Cossack was not one of them. Doesn't it bother you, wandering around alone at night? Well, I'm staying just over there. I was just headed home to get some sleep. If you're here to see Asha, she's not here. Have you read the book I told you about? Not yet. I went to the library, but they were all checked out. I guess it's a pretty popular book. I asked Ron to buy me a copy, but he avoided the subject. I thought so, which is why I brought you a copy. I love Cossack. Then no more boring textbooks. Differentiated reproductive parts, something. Clear and direct explanation, stories that every parent needs to hear, told by 21 people from each species. Okay, 21 people from each species. Includes easy to understand, high quality illustrations. Wow, there are pictures too? Read the whole thing, even if it takes you all night, before Yuta enters the city. Yuta entering the city? How? There's still so many people opposed to it. There's something that only he can do. Oh, are they going to have him use the chaos closed space? Okay. And they're going to be like, yeah, you can come in, but on the condition that you do this thing for us. What a great chapter. Insanely good character stuff. Really great writing. But I'm going to go check out the afterword and then go to next chapter. Okay, well that entire time I'm receiving Discord notifications, I'm getting text messages, so after I finish recording this afterward, I'm gonna go and have to do other stuff, and then I'll come back and record the other three. But let's check out the afterword. We have text not translated for Lee's walking away, then Lee smirking at Ron. Lee's understanding of Ron is rather poor, and then but Ron understands Lee's pretty well, even though he doesn't fully know how Lee's came to travel with Asha. From episode 276 to now, there had been a lot of comments on Naver criticizing Lee's using Asha's logic. On the other hand, I didn't see anyone defend Lee's using Ron's logic. Really, it's crazy to me that most people were taking Asha's side. Asha really, you can see where she's coming from, but at the same time, she's really taken things too far and being pretty sketchy and uncompromising with it. It seems very logical now since Ron explained it, but in real life it's not easy to think using someone else's mindset. Rest of text is not translated, and then lastly, Lise finally has it in her hands, the biology of Shura. In addition, Mr. Cossack was one of the 21 half-bloods who were interviewed. Therefore, this is a book that contains information on Taksaka. Okay, very, very fun. I think that the rest of these three, I'm excited to see them because, you know, we had the conflict going on in the first part of the good. It was what it was. I think that it was good, but it wasn't the absolute strongest because Kubera has such an incredibly high bar. But this chapter I thought was just insane. It was so good in terms of how all the characters were written, how everything came together. I think it was really great. So with that aside, since we're kind of continuing on with this now that the kind of conflict we were going on, I think, like I mentioned it last week, in most things, it happens a ton in movies, when you have this, you know, misunderstanding where the characters that are quote-unquote the good guys, or at least on the viewing audience's side of things, when these characters have a conflict that it's like, just talk it out, we don't want to see you in conflict, we don't want to see you arguing over something, you know, that's kind of not super consequential from like the reader's point of view. That can get a little bit annoying, so I'm glad that it only lasted a little bit. We're kind of moving through it, and we're, you know, moving on to new stuff with the characters. I thought this was so good. I like Ron so much. Asha and Lise are such deeply written and well-written characters. I love Cossack too, coming in at the end, even though he was just delivering the book. But even then, all of that is fun, and I'm excited to see where the next three go. So either way, for me, it's going to be a few hours, but for all of you, let's go read the next one. Okay, I'm back, so we're going on to 86. You asked her what it would be like to befriend an enemy. If I were Lise, I would have punched you right in the face. I can't believe Lise just let it slide as a joke at the time. If you wanted to get a proper reaction, you should have asked her, what if someone close to you were a high-rank Shura, rather than what if you befriended a high-rank Shura. It may seem like the same thing, but it's completely different. You're smart, so you must know that. If someone close to me were a high-rank Shura, like you, or Yuta, or that half we met yesterday, I would be okay with it. At first I might be a bit afraid, but you're all nice people. But why would you ask me that? Isn't that red bird the only high-rank Shura anyway? No. At least there may be another high-rank Shura aside from him, or other high-rank Shuras aside from him. who have remained in the human world for exceptional reasons. Some of them might be on the humans' side. Wow, really? Who? Like who? It still seems a bit early to tell you. I'll let you know later. What? Later when? Yeah, if I had just asked her like that at the time. It's not a big deal. All you have to do is think of it from Lisa's perspective. Her genius is always like that. They often seem to forget to consider things from other people's perspectives. Like my brother. Maybe it's because he finished that elite course like you, but he always says stuff like, "Man, do you even have a brain?" Anyway, sometimes in life there are misunderstandings, and when there are, you can resolve them with communication. But it doesn't look like you even intend on talking to Lise. Geez, Ron is hitting so hard. Ron is like such a crazy good character. I love that, again, in so many pieces of media, whether long-running series or otherwise, there are always these misunderstandings that kind of weigh down and bog down a series when it's like literally you could just talk to each other. So I'm so glad to have a character pointing that out, like, communicate. Why wouldn't you listen when she said that it wasn't true? And then, as if it weren't enough for you to ignore her and draw your own conclusion, you say she's pretending to be nice. What did Lise ever do to you? I didn't mean to butt in, since it's not my business. Plus, I'll be leaving you both soon enough. But this looks like it's really getting out of hand. You two really don't get along at all. It seems like Lise lets you treat her the way that you do, since she has nowhere else to turn after losing her home. And in your case, I guess it's a sense of responsibility, guilt, something like that's keeping you from abandoning her. But nothing will get better if you two carry on like this. Lise has gotten noticeably timid. Listen, why don't I take custody of Lise instead? And then we get our title splash, The Good, Part 6. Lise, are you really not coming out to see me? And we have Yuta waiting. Who's this black-hearted boy hanging around the checkpoint? Or do they mean black-haired? Or I guess maybe black-hearted is a way of translating some phrase in Korean that would mean somber or whatnot. Mr. Cossack, you stopped Lise from coming out, didn't you? You're taking this too far. There's no need to do this. I made a mistake when I thought, that at the time, because I really didn't think there was any other way. I won't think anything like that again, so please just let Lise come and see me. It's so hard for me. And then, you want me to put this on? You know very well, Mr. Cossack, I feel uncomfortable wearing human clothes, and what's up with this color? Lise told me to give it to you. What a great shirt! I love it! Immediately. And don't hang around so close to the checkpoint. Can't you see the people huddled together by the window up there who are staring at you? That's a Rakshasa? He looks just like a regular human with those clothes on. Will it bite us if we get close? No, I went out and tried talking to it a bit this afternoon, but I guess it can't talk because it's a Rakshasa, so it just smiled at me. Smiling? That's adorable. Should I go and try talking to it too? Adorable, don't kid yourself. It's still just Ashura, sorry. I read it right in my head, but the words bled together aloud. Its Shura form must be hideous. I still like it. I feel so safe knowing that we have a Rakshasa on our side. Safe? What if he suddenly changes his mind in the city? I heard it's already been in the city because Asha vouched for him. If it were evil, it would have already caused trouble. Yeah, I heard there are a lot of people who support it. And didn't Agni himself let him enter the city? Unless, I'm assuming, again, mistranslation, but it could be something where some people think Agni's a woman, but I think it's more likely a mistranslation. I still can't believe that it's on our side. Who knows? Maybe it's only acting because it's after something. They're not watching me with any ill will. Aside from a few people, it seems like they're all on my side. Even you're disliked by people who hate halves, you know. Plus, I look much more human in my human form than you do, Mr. Cossack. See? You may not be able to wear long-sleeve shirts like this, but they look great on me. He looks away. I heard from Asha that you smashed my earring. Sorry, I'll wait here in silence again, the immediate switch up once again. Mr. Cossack, you promised me two things once since I developed. Promise number one, okay, and we have both of them. We we don't have the promises themselves listed, but back to the chapters when they were mentioned. All right, I remember that now. Start by handing over my earring, and then... Or would you like to help me with something? It may be a chance for you to get some support from the villagers. I'll say she's my aunt and uncle's adopted daughter, but I'll be the one actually supporting her. My aunt's maiden name is Hyas, which makes her a distant relative of Lee's, so the two will feel close to each other. I'm going to be a double A rank soon, which means I'll have a decent job, lots of money, and the ability to support her. I'll support her for whatever she wants, whether it's to attend a magic academy, martial arts university, or guild membership. You may think it's a waste of money to support someone who won't live long anyway, but that only makes me want to make her dreams come true even more. It would be a shame for her to spend her life like this. Don't just stand there with your mouth shut. Tell me what you think. How does my proposal sound? It sounds fine. Good, I knew it. I knew she didn't want to take care of Lise. I didn't intend on staying with Lise any longer anyway. We're going to split up soon, so you can take care of Lise after that, Mr. Ransirafe. All right, then, let's do that. God, and again, there's so much this is one of those things that this is not a first read through scene. This is a really good scene because you can feel the weight with the characters. Ron is being like 10 out of 10 character this week, this session of reading for me. Ron's being incredible. But even Asha, there's like so much weight to the characters. Even the small things with Lise, like the way she reacts after finding things out chapter before last week, or the way that she reacted last chapter. Like, there's so much going on that's really well done with the facial expressions and everything. But this is obviously something that is hinting at or related to things from the future. It's going to be related to why ever Asha's traveling with Lise to begin with, whatever they're going to go through in the future. It's one of those scenes where first read through, I think this is a good scene, but also I feel like you don't get everything out of it your first read through. This is one of those things that this scene is probably going to be much more emotional and mean so much more, like going back through and rereading once I know where it's headed. Good morning, Ron. How'd you sleep? She looks happy. She left without eating dinner yesterday. Has she already forgotten? Good morning, Asha. Good morning, Mr. Landlord. Good morning to everyone. And then, I was wrong. Judging from the way she's overdoing it, she must still be depressed. Lise, aren't you hungry? You didn't eat anything last night. You want me to buy you something to eat? Really? Hey, Asha, Ron said he's buying us breakfast. Asha Rahiro, and the door swings open. You need to get to the Forest of Confusion right now. I love goofy names like that, the Forest of Confusion. Apparently Yuta found Teo, but something's not right. Oh. This... I hate using the word interesting so much, but I was going to say, this is interesting. I thought it was just going to be telling Yuta or convincing Yuta, hey, now that Teo's gone, yeah, Teo just hadn't even been mentioned since her quote-unquote death. Okay. So, I was thinking they were just going to get him to work the closed space, sort of like the way that Agni does it, and assuming because he's he's like the child of the goddess of chaos or whatever, I assumed he'd be able to do it. Like, maybe I'm wrong about that, but I figured it seems like something he'd be able to do. So I thought they were going to do that, but actually they had him go look for Teo, which is cool. And specifically, they say they found Teo, but something's not right. I feel like that is not the way it would be worded if they were like, oh, Teo is dead. So there are a couple things. Teo is dead, but there are ways to bring people back to life in Kubera, potentially, depending on the circumstances. Again, it's one of those things where even if there is a way to bring somebody back, it's probably something that requires a lot of specific circumstances. Or B, when Gandharva transformed and froze everything, did we see, that might have been Gandharva I'm thinking of, we saw either her or Gandharva like frozen in a block of ice, like towards the center. I might be thinking of Gandharva himself when he went back into his human form though. But I thought we saw Teo at some point. And if that's the case, maybe it's that they're pulling a Kun from Tower of God. Maybe she's been frozen by Gandharva, and there is some way to revive her because of that. Again, very specific circumstances. One of those types of things. So this is crazy. I had totally neglected to think about Teo. I was just like, oh yeah, she's dead. They probably found her, and I didn't really think. I was like, are they gonna get into like a mourning period, a funeral or anything? But yeah, I forgot we still have this to go on. There was just so much going on with our main quartet and some of the other characters surrounding them that I had totally, like, it had slipped my mind to think about stuff like this. Also, we still don't know what Gandharva's up to. I really do think, obviously, Gandharva's alive. I just think that, he was like, I can't do this stuff like I've been doing with God Kubera's plan anymore. I can't let myself be manipulated like this anymore. I can't do it. And I think he was thinking that way. And he's like, okay, can't do this anymore. So maybe I'll try to stay with the humans. Then Marana screws everything up and he's like, no, my hands are too bloody. I can't possibly. So then he's like, I can't be around the humans. So is he going to be around humans? Is he going to like just go off to some other city and pretend to be a regular human once again and just try to leave his entire past behind? Even if that means, I don't know if it means really necessarily giving up on Shakuntala, but is that where he's going to go with things? Or is he just going to take some alone time away from everybody else? We still have Gandharva up in the mix somewhere, who I'm very much assuming isn't dead, and we're going to see him again at some point. So, still missing. And we haven't talked with Sagara's group for a while, so it might not be even this arc or chapter or whatever that we see them anymore, but eventually we have to see them again too. Either way though, let's go check out the afterword. Okay, there's just a lot of text not translated. The first one, Mr. Cossack and Yuta's hierarchy's been decided. Yuta's future is dark. Even though he's developed, he still looks like a kid to Mr. Cossack, who's 190 centimeters tall. Then Lise and Asha drinking from her cup. Asha's been drinking something all morning. It has to be coffee. There's no other answer. She had said the coffee's good at the all-you-can-eat meat buffet in episode 60. She's a coffee enthusiast. And then a blurb about corrections. Alright, so that was a very short afterword, but I had a lot of discussion for the chapter. Let's go read 87. And we're starting off with some ice, so I may have been cooking something. I do think, though, I think we saw that. I think we saw like a frozen Teo at some point during the Gandharva Shura transformation stuff, but I'm not 100%. I knew it. I could sense something near here, but I thought it was strange that there wasn't anything around. Turns out it was covered by a transcendental aura. Strange. It doesn't seem like something that would be worth hiding like that. No matter how great a person is, once they die, isn't that the end? What value does a person's corpse have? And we have the frozen Teo. The Good, Part 7. Lise, are you ready yet? You better hurry up if you're going to go with Asha. I'm coming. She's usually the first one running down the stairs. What's taking her so long to prepare today? And then he's surprised by something. Huh? I know you love your new clothes, but do you really need to put them all on at once? Oh, this is cute. I love this outfit. I just suddenly felt a bit chilly. Cold. The girl who walked around with arms and legs even in the waterway? Exposed arms and legs even in the waterway? Are you sure you're not sick? Why don't you rest at home? And then Ron cannot go with them because there will be a half, of course. That's okay. I'm going to go with Asha. And then Asha's looking so depressed, she could just fall over at any second. Asha's facial expressions have been so sad. Yuta! And she's calling out. Wow, I know I picked those clothes, but they really look good on you. I thought of you when I went with Ron to buy clothes a few days ago. You and Ron are similar in height, but you're much thinner. Lise, why are you wearing so many layers? Did someone tell you to? Sorry. Judging from the expression on your face, I guess you don't like the shirt I chose. I wonder if it has something to do with the book she read, maybe. I don't know. It's not like that, Lise. I really like these clothes. Your clothes just look kind of hot. If you don't like them, I'll tell Ron and buy you some new ones. Ah, Mr. Cossack, what the hell did you tell Lise? Let go of me, sir. I didn't say anything about clothes. Whatever, just stop it, it's gross. Asha, and she runs over. What happened? She turns away. 1, 2, 1, 2, and again she just plays it off. Hey, Lise, I'll explain it to you. We have power. Okay. They said you had disappeared after that day, so I'd prepared myself for the worst. But seeing you in person like this is a shock. I didn't think you would leave like that after surviving the great upheaval. We'll talk about that after we collect the bodies. We heard that you called us here because you don't have a way of getting rid of this ice. It's certainly cold, but is this really ice? It's not melting or slippery at all. For now, we know that it's not magic or a transcendental spell. If it were, the spell that created the ice would have vanished along with the ice. Since Yuta's special powers are what break magic and transcendental spells. Okay. Jeez. Those powers are so useful when we have them on our side, but I would hate to face them as an enemy. That's especially why we need to keep them on our side. People only ever think of their immediate safety, which prevents them from considering the future. It's pretty clear where Yuta would go if the humans reject him. This ice, could it have been created to protect the names of the bodies from the prying eye of the world, or prying eye of the underworld? I know that used to happen a lot before the Great Upheaval. Alright, it used to be like that. As long as a person who dies before living out their full life can avoid being seen by the eye of the underworld, they can preserve their name. People who live out their full life register their name first in the underworld, which causes them to die, but people who die prematurely only realize that they're dead in the underworld, and then have to register their name. Okay. Interesting. So it's almost like when you live a full life to where you're supposed to be, you just end up in the underworld. I don't know if it's like in a dream state or whatever, and then you write your name out in the register. But you just end up there. Your soul or whatever ends up there. So I wonder then if this is the plan. If the plan is to keep her from signing her death certificate, basically, until they find a way to save her. They used to stop the bodies from decomposing to trick the eye, until a magician arrived who could use resurrection magic. It was a very difficult and costly spell, but as long as it wasn't someone whom the gods particularly had their eyes on, they could be saved that way. But we don't have that magic now, do we? It's impossible to bring them back with Hoti Asvins. So, I think, or I guess Asvin should be pronounced Ashwins. But even if it's spelled with SV, it should be pronounced Ashwins, I guess. But I guess that's because Ashwins is the replacement for Vishnu, and with the power of Vishnu, you could revive people. But since Vishnu went missing, which has been the cause of so many things in the world of Kubera that we've seen in the story so far, since then, we, oh, and that ties in more to Gandharva too, because Gandharva would freeze her, and then if he still has faith, if he is still like, I can go find Vishnu, then maybe Vishnu would be the one with the power to bring her back. So honestly, that might be where Gandharva is going now. Now that he's vanished for a bit, he might be going to search for Vishnu and try to find whatever happened to Vishnu. And then try to use Vishnu to bring back Teo. That might be the new Gandharva subplot. I'm curious as to whether this trick really fooled the gods. Mr. Claude, before, you told me that you could tell which people don't have much life left in them, right? Can you also see how much life is left in people who are already dead? You probably wouldn't be able to tell if the underworld's already realized that the person is dead and has registered the name Teo Rakan, right? But if this ice really has saved them from the eye of the underworld, how amusing. Right now in this situation, you're actually curious about the life of someone who's already dead. Yeah, Asha, it's not like there's any way to bring her back, so just forget it. You'll just get yourself all depressed. We should focus on figuring out what this ice is and finding a way to move the bodies. Have you guys tried Bhavati Agni? I tried, but it didn't work. Maybe if Agni were to come here in person. Now, enough of that useless talk. Let's try to find a way to get rid of this ice. You know very well that it isn't useless talk. Why are you acting like you don't know? It sounded to me that day, by saying what you said after the card game, you knew everything. Don't do this. I know what you're thinking. Don't do it, Ashirahiro. If you use that spell here, everyone on this planet will find out about its existence. Try to think rationally about why God only allowed you to use that spell, and what kind of problems would arise if people knew about it. She's not that important of a person, at least not to you. So then, because of her... I'm pretty sure we saw before that she has some sort of close connection to Vishnu, earlier in season 2, or maybe it was at the very end of season 1, but we saw that Asha has a close connection to Vishnu and she's from Karte, right? So maybe because of the connection to Vishnu and being from another planet, she can still use the magic to bring people back to life. And Asha just in general is extremely special as a character, and it's crazy that Claude knows. But it's also interesting to note it's one of those things where it would be a good thing in the short term or in the small scale, oh yeah, we can just bring Teo back to life. But in the grand scheme of things, in the long term, it's potentially a really bad thing to let everybody know, oh hey, you can just use magic to bring people back to life if you wanted to. And tying in Claude here to this discussion being the priest of death is a really good choice too. Who exactly are you trying to bring her back to life for? To be continued. Okay, I should have just read that last line, honestly. But once again, an extremely good chapter. I think, to me personally, I remember liking last week's 4 chapters. I really do. But to me, from the very first one this week, I think this week's 4 have absolutely eclipsed last week's 4. I think season 2 episode 85 was extremely good. I think that was a 10 out of 10 or near 10 out of 10 chapter. I love how deep the character work was and how well all the pieces of the story just fit together so perfectly. And then last chapter 86, was also, I think, very, very good. Maybe not as good as 85, but again, I'm kind of reading them bundled as a group, so it's kind of hard to judge that way. But very, very good. Extremely good once again. Even if maybe not as good as 85, I don't know. And then this one's up there with 85. This is another pretty much 10 out of 10 chapter. All of these different puzzle pieces from the series are coming together, and the character work and the decisions that I feel like Kurigam's making are just so good. So yeah, very good stuff. Okay, just making sure there's nothing else that might be hiding down there. Let's go read the afterword. The afterword this time around says, Lisa's wearing lots of protective clothing and it shocked Yuta. Did she change her clothes? No. Actually, her original clothes are underneath all 5 layers of clothing under her jacket. Teo's frozen body. Teo's hair goes straight up over her head, so what about her skirt? You shouldn't ask that. Besides, she's wearing leggings underneath the skirt. Lutz speaking. Lutz's hair is swept in front. Lutz's hair in front is swept on one side. Okay. Sorry, reading that so wrong. So his appearance changes a bit, depending on which side you're looking at. The color can appear slightly different in different locations, but he has the same hair color as Ron. When they're standing together in the same lighting, Lutz's skin color is lighter. And yeah, that's the same thing with Ron. Sometimes his hair is more brownish, sometimes more pinkish, but it's always in that sort of spectrum. Then Claude is suddenly so serious. He knows how to straighten up. Then text is not translated. Very good stuff. It's one of those things where so many mysteries here with Claude, with Asha, with so many of the characters are things that I'm not going to be able to get to until dozens or even hundreds of chapters down the line. Some of these things I don't even know if you all have answers for yet, even though you're hundreds of chapters ahead of me. So some of this stuff is dang it, it's going to take me a while to really appreciate some of what we're seeing, but I think that these chapters have been incredible. We're finishing the video with Season 2, Episode 88, and I almost forgot to switch the scene back over to this one, where I had the filter up, but we're starting off with par, so, good chapter already. So, I ran off by myself, but then the barrier of chaos broke. But Teo... Honestly, I wasn't expecting much, since the barrier still wasn't restored yet. Everyone was saying let's go find Teo, but I think they would have been happy, even if we had just found a trace of her. And now what's this? What is this ice? Lisa's thinking back. Hang in there, Part. We'll find a way. I was wrong. No matter what Teo said, I should have stayed there and fought by her side. How would that be any better? Then there would only be more people dead. Fighting together doesn't necessarily mean you would win. Yuta has lost some IQ points since evolving, because he really does tend to just basically speak to himself at this point. He really needs to get a new notepad here. Is she just being polite? You'd better be glad that no one can hear what you're saying. Your personality's gotten kind of strange as you've grown. Okay, Cossack bringing it up. Come on, I'm still not at the point where I need advice from a dragon, Mr. Cossack. At least try not to show my bad side to the person that I like. Are you the same way? He looks down. Yuta, what do you think? Is there anything we can do? Shakes his head no, as if saying what a shame. Again, I love the note, just to specify. I see. So Yuta hasn't thought of anything either. I hope Asha can find a way to resolve this. Asha won't be able to do much either. If it looks impossible even to me. And the ice starts evaporating. They all react. What the? The ice is melting and the forest is coming back to life. As if the attack that day never happened. So is Asha just saying, screw you, Claude, you're not my dad, you can't tell me what to do, and she's doing it anyway? The good part 8. How unfortunate for you, Miss Asha. You should really get rid of that weak card as soon as possible. Do you have any idea what you're saying? Well, wouldn't that mean you wouldn't have to worry about her anymore? She doesn't look like she would, she doesn't look like she wouldn't have any other people to look after her. And even if she were on her own, she looks like the type who would survive at all costs. Just let her be. Even if she survives, she's only got 10 years left to live anyway. Just let her be. So, the power of the name, they bring up her not being able to live long. I was thinking the opposite. I was thinking that God Kubera would die, and she would basically be stuck living forever. But what does it mean? Just let her be. Mr. Claude, it looks like you've investigated me quite a bit, but you don't know the most important thing. Me abandoning Lise is not simple as it seems, and we see Knight and Victim. I don't like this. This is the Forest of Chaos? Claude? Asha, what are you doing here? Well, Claude, have you left Rintalo to go wandering around again? My sword. Where did my sword go? Where's Elwyn? She was walking right next to me. How far did you turn it back? Okay. So she isn't even going to remember any of Guntarva if he shows up again. Man, that's tragic. So I guess the mechanism of revival is more turning back time than it is like a healing kind of thing. Interesting to note. How far did you turn it back? If she can't even remember my arrival in Calibloom, I was mistaken. I tried to turn her memory back to the day of the attack, but I didn't think the barrier of chaos would activate before they came back to life completely. I feel all stuffy. Have you seen Elwyn? Elwyn. That's it for me. You handle this. Hoti Vishnu? You turned back time for Teo, using the Hoti Vishnu spell. Yes, and? Since that wasn't enough on its own to remove the ice, I also turned back time for the surrounding area. Goodness, she means she can use Hoti Vishnu too. That spell hasn't worked at all since the Great Upheaval. Why does it only work for Asha? Wait, if she could use it, why didn't she tell us until now? Yeah, if you can use Hoti Vishnu and then all those people who died in the Shura raid, there must have been so many times when we needed that spell. Now, be quiet, everyone. I would have hidden it too if I were Asha. Since before the Great Upheaval, Hoti Vishnu has been an extremely difficult spell, and not many people have been able to use it. Because of that, the magicians who can use it have been dragged all over the place. And many went into hiding because they couldn't handle the stress. Do you have any idea how great the sense of burden and stress would be if you were the only one who could use that spell? Guys, imagine that each one of you is the only one who's able to use Hoti Vishnu. Would you really have told people about it? Well, I guess you have a point, but I still would have told people. And again, I like that this conflict, Kurigam's really great at this. This conflict is written in a smart way, where there are people that are still upset, but there are also people that see the point that Lutz is making. So it's like people can see the point, but people are also still upset regardless. People were upset, but then changed their mind. And again, Lutz is just a really cool character. There is this tendency, I feel like, in a lot of things where in order to spice things up, in order to make things seem exciting, every character has to put forth as much conflict as possible all the time, like small, tiny little, like nagging conflicts. And sometimes you really don't need that. You can just have a character be smart and understanding. So, Asha's able to use Hoti Vishnu. Then, when she turned back my memory, that was... Anyway, I'm just glad she revived. Okay, and we go back to that scene. It's a good thing that Asha found a way to solve this, just like Lee's wanted. I'm not sure. To me, it doesn't look like such a good thing. And then Par's reuniting with Teo. Why not? Everyone's so happy. But now, for now they are. But just wait a bit. Because people are going to want her to do it again and again. Asha can turn back time, and again we're going to have Lee's like, why didn't you just do it for my village? Again, I feel like Lee's maybe shouldn't think that because Marina was still attacking at the time, and there's probably, again, really tight restrictions to the use of Hoti Vishnu. Now, we're cutting away to somebody on a beach, and something's fading from their finger. Hey, Calibloom is safe. I met a magician walking along the path down there. He said they're still looking for Teo. You'd better get back there. Is this like a little mini-form Gandharva who survived? You shouldn't stay here all along. Why don't you come with me to Calibloom? It could be dangerous if you were to run into a half-hunter outside the city. I'm fine. Go by yourself. If you run about half a day in that direction, you'll get there. Thanks for telling me. But didn't you say you lost your pinky finger before? You've got another one? It just got regenerated a bit later. Okay, so I think this was Gandharva, and he just left bits of ice behind, and when the ice got melted around Teo, that returned the pinky finger. No need to worry. Hurry along. Okay, well, I was afraid of being alone, so thanks for staying with me this whole time. Take care of yourself. I really hope I'll get to see you again someday. Don't thank me. I have no right to be thanked. He transforms back into his usual self. Chapter 23, The Good, End. Next chapter, The Taboo. And I wonder if specifically having the good and the taboo back to back is maybe a specific choice. Maybe, again, good and taboo are probably going to refer to multiple things. And I think the taboo is like 7 chapters, so it's around the same length. I wonder if it's the good is focusing on the aftermath from the perspective of our main character, mostly humans, that group. And then what we're going to get in the taboo is we're going to focus on the aftermath, but from the other side of things. Like maybe the next 7 chapters we have had sections where it's been basically all the Shura. Maybe the next 7 chapters is going to be like the aftermath of this stuff, but with God Kubera, Gentarva, Marina, maybe not all together, obviously Sagara, but showing what each of them are doing in the aftermath, what the sort of what this means for them next after this attack and after they got away with what they did. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But either way, this was a really good arc. Again, I think the first half, it was good. We needed to ramp down that conflict a bit. So really, we spent the first half ramping down that conflict. And then the next four, the four I read this week, were just like really good aftermath stuff with our characters. And I think that might be what we get next time, but who knows. So yeah, and the taboo could also be referring to things like bringing somebody back to life. But either way, let's read our last afterword. Last afterword this week says, this is the last episode of the chapter The Good. It began with Yuta x Lees and ends with Asha versus Lees. Teo resurrected. Memory loss, such as from a drama. That's how it was when Asha used Hoti Vishnu on Yuta. Unlike Hoti Asfin's, which recovers only your body, Hoti Vishnu reverts your mental state as well, so you'll lose all your memories after the point of recovery. Additionally, before the Cataclysm upheaval, Hoti Vishnu was used as an attack rather than recovery magic. If you can make someone lose their memory, it could be a very good attack spell. But what would be more evil is to use Hoti Vishnu on someone who is badly injured and was just healed, evil grin. And you can use it in many other ways. Yuta's not all that small, but Mr. Cossack makes him look that way. How long is he going to wear that red shirt? Please wait just a while longer. Then Gentarva in young form. Gentarva's hair color in boy form is not random, it's part of his Shura form. Was there a lot of hair on Gentarva's Shura form? Yes, there was. Then, if there's no chaos barrier, then why were her calculations disrupted? Please read Asha's dialogue again. And then, I made a request for the typos to be fixed. Okay, typos have been fixed. Got it. So, that is it for this time around. I thought it was incredibly good. I kind of have said that throughout the read through. These chapters were just incredible. I thought they were amazing. I thought this was a really, really, really good segment of the story. I absolutely loved it. And with that aside, I guess there's not really much else to say. So thank you for being here. Sorry that the recording was so scuffed. I had to stop in the middle of it. I'm recording this at like 1 a.m. So yeah, sorry if I've been talking a little bit quietly because it's like 1 a.m. But yeah, either way, that's it. Thank you for watching. Like if you did like the video, and comment down there to tell me what you thought of these chapters, my thoughts and reaction to them. Subscribe for more Kubera, much more on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want. If you want a link to the Discord server, it is free and open for anyone. Just ask and I can give you a link. If you would like to help support the channel by dropping a super thanks, that would be very, very appreciated. Or if you want to not only, support the channel, help me to keep making videos, but also get your name at the end of every video, get One Piece videos a little bit early, you can hit join down below to become a member, or go to patreon.com/Haku of the Tubes, or a link will be in the description to become a patron. Thank you to people who are patrons and channel members. And also, sorry if this isn't updated. I haven't had time to look at it in a couple days, so I need to go look and update this if it needs to be updated. But thank you to Chosen Regular Evan Holly, Magical Girls, FRNono, JA, and the D-Van, J-Region Students, David Langstaff and Folded Ghoul, Slayer Candidates, SG and Stan Cedar, and Pure Element Pateardial. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.